Womp womp.
Are you a member of the family?
Yeah, you could say that.
Oh, she'll be pleased to have a visitor. No one ever comes to see her. With the Alzheimer's, she has trouble remembering things, but it'll still
That's
be
inconvenient.
easy, you know. It's room 19 at the end of the corridor.
Thank you.
No problem, Miss Mega Doo-Doo. What will we find in room 19 at the end of the corridor? Can we pop in on various old people and get stories of old country, maybe? Wow, that was worth fucking looking at.
Oh, this game.
Do you think that's her?
Yes,
Sitting?
I don't think they will have wanted to render the inside of a room.
No, you're just a randomer.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this one?
It's
Room
19.
Hello?
The lady looking out the window looks like the same lady who was looking at the gravestone.
I also thought that. They made one old woman thing. Model.
Hello, Mrs. Shepherd.
Is it time for my pills already?
No, Mrs. Shepherd,
They're never on time with my pills. I don't know what they do here. In the other hospital, they were always on time. But here...
My name is Madison Page. I'm a journalist. I'd like to ask you some questions about your son.
I don't like this hospital. The food isn't very good, you know.
Do you remember John?
My Johnny. He is a good little boy, you know.
Your other son, Mrs. Shepherd. John's twin brother. What was his name?
What other son? Oh, I have no other son. I never had any children.
Oh dear.
You had a son named John, and John had a twin brother.
Also named John,
Do you
yes.
have my pills? It's time for my pills.
Try to remember, Mrs. Shepherd. John's twin brother was placed with a foster family after the accident.
I'd love to do button prompts to have a harrowing conversation with someone suffering from
I
Alzheimer's.
asked them for a television, you know. They said I didn't have enough money. It's a pity. I'm fond of television.
I think your son is in trouble, Mrs. Shepherd. He's done some terrible
That's origami.
things. I need to find
Yes.
him. Do you understand?
You let me pick up the origami video game?
Terrible things you're telling me. He never came to see me, can you believe it? In 10 years, never. No one forgets their mother, do they?
No, yes, no.
I know what happened at Carnaby Square. Do you remember?
Carnaby Square. I think I used to live there a long time ago. We didn't have much money at the time, you know. We had to make do with very little.
Oh.
Mrs. Shepherd, your son may be linked to a series of murders. Perhaps you have some information that could help the investigation.
I'll lean up against this. Like a
Are you a
cool...
new nurse? Where are my pills?
Maybe if I look at the origami now. Thank you.
Did you make these origami figures?
My little paper animals. They played with them for hours. I showed my boys how to make them, you know.
Yes, your boys, Mrs. Shepherd. John and... What was your other son's name again?
Ethan.
My other
Ethan
son?
Mars.
I only had one son, my little Johnny.
God damn it. We can look. I'm going to make a crane. Well, I don't think we need to do this, but...
Wow. Wow.
I'm doing it. I'm making crane. If I make the origami... It was
That was
as easy
fast.
as that.
I think cranes are relatively
love
easy in the
origami.
grand scheme of origami.
But that's not my favorite one.
What is your favourite one then?
What else is in the book?
Hummingbird?
B. Down.
I love origami. But that's not my favorite one.
Is this good viewing? Is this good watching for you folks at home?
There's a lot of sun coming through the window for a rainy day.
Yes.
What else is in the book?
Maybe it's a butterfly. I'm going to say butterfly. No, it's not going to be a dog. It's not going to be a frog. It's going to be a frog. We just fucking make all of them. God damn it, when it's not frog, and then we'll do dog, and then go, that's my favourite one. Oh, my son Johnny and his brother used to love that. And they say, your other son. I don't have another son. I love origami.
I love origami. That's not my favorite one.
Was the swan the first page or the crane?
Crane
Or
was the first page,
okay.
yeah.
Fold to the door. I bet it's just whichever one you do last.
Yeah, probably. Maybe none of them are her favourite. And she'll just go, ah! Why?
The funniest thing is, like, I don't think origami is so easy that if you've got it in a book, you can just be like,
No.
da-da-da, done.
Oh,
Not with
you
any
know
degree
how
of
to do
skill.
these little dogs too.
Ah, your little dog, too.
Children loved origami. I taught them how to do it. John loved the little dogs. He always wanted to call them Max. Max, Max, Max. All dogs with the same name. I was wasting my time telling him they couldn't all have the same name.
What about your other
He
son?
always wanted his paper dogs Max. It's funny, isn't it?
What about your other son, Mrs. Trout?
It'd take days, if not longer, to find the name of the family that adopted her son. Sean Mars would be dead by then. It seems to be working. She's remembering stuff. Gotta find something else to show her.
There is nothing else to show her. I made all the origami. Bathroom.
The flowers. Go back and get the flowers because they're orchids.
Oh, that's good detective work, Becky. You'll make whatever the rank above sergeant is for
Why
this.
is she like, we're under pressure. Time to inspect my face in a mirror, in a public or in a hospice bathroom.
That's why we were looking at the flowers. You are so right. Just saw a gurney, like this is where you're going to end up.
Does Mrs. Shepherd ever talk about her past?
It's not all very clear to her now. Sometimes she'll remember the oddest things, though. I suppose if she sees something that reminds her of her past.
Did she ever mention her sons?
Sons? Well, she often mentions John.
I mean, apart from the fact that we saw the scene where it was the two boys, I would just assume that it meant
Didn't know she
she only had one son and she had a
Never heard her
daughter.
mention it.
Maybe.
But obviously we saw the...
I'm looking for her other son. He was adopted. I mean, he's probably changed his name. Is there any official documentation on Mrs. Shepherd?
No one has ever written about this woman in
No,
the history of
there's
the
nothing,
world.
really. Nothing about her family. I guess if her son was adopted, then she's the only one who could tell you about that.
Dang it.
Motherfucker, but she already didn't react to the
Sometimes,
hummingbird.
If you show her things, it seems to trigger a memory from her past.
Yes.
You might get it to remember.
Go get the
Thanks for the
orchids.
advice.
What if I flip her the middle finger? Will that remind her or something? Get a gurney and be like, this is where you're gonna fucking end up if you don't tell me. Orchids. Papa promised me an orchid if I was a good boy at the mall, but then I wandered off and got hit by a car. Ma'am? Mrs. Winslow. Mrs. Sproggett, I got you a flower.
What a lovely orchid. My sons loved orchids. We used to grow them in the back.
When John died.
When John died, I laid orchids on his grave.
What about your other son, for fuck's sake? What about the upper drawer? Oh, now we're getting somewhere. A photograph of her sons.
Why would that be in a
These your
drawer and not
children, Mrs.
out?
Shepherd? John and his brother? Is that them?
They're good little boys. Their father never looked after them. Always drinking. They didn't have an easy life, you know.
Is she British?
I think she's just old.
After. Americans don't say after.
I cried when they told me. I'd already lost one of my children, and now they were taking away another one, you understand.
The foster family, Mrs. Shepherd. What was the name of the foster family that adopted John?
Tell us. Give us the
They were really
bombshell.
very nice people. I met them, you know.
What is the
In
twist?
the beginning, I used to go and see my little boy.
It
When
was
I got
whatever
sick and
Madison's
I
last
couldn't
name
go
is.
any
Dun
longer.
dun dun.
Perhaps he thought I'd forgotten him. He must have thought I didn't love him anymore.
What button right there? Yep.
His name, Mrs. Shepherd. What was his name?
I feel like we're so close to the end.
But I loved
Yeah.
him. If you only knew how much I missed him.
Please, Anne. His name. What was his name?
Come closer.
She's gonna expire right as she's about to tell her.
Ah,
So that we don't get to fucking hear it, bro.
keep it a secret from the audience for just a little bit longer.
Lucky for me, I know the answer, but... Oh my god.
The thing is, she's reacting like it means something to her, but the only name that would mean something to her would be
Ethan.
because she hasn't met any of the other characters.
Oh my god. He was adopted by the Percocet family. It's Jaden Percocet. He's the origami killer.
He fought himself in a drug-addled
Yes.
hallucination.
He'd been doing that skooma.